Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Sarah Rose Stack. I'm the Director of Internet Sales and Training for Market America and Shop.com. And welcome to our webinar or DRS training series. So tonight's series is dedicated to how to use the DRS system. DRS stands for Digital Recruiting Sites. And what that is an opportunity for web center owners or unfranchised owners alike to have the ability to not only build their own website using MA Web Center's technology at a wholesale cost, but also to experience all of its marketing tools that come with an MA Web Center's website. So the idea here is that you actually have an opportunity to be a product of the product and use your own program. It's incredibly economical, even for at the retail cost for a website client. And so what we've done is we've gotten an opportunity for unfranchised owners to use their to buy a website solution through themselves at a substantially reduced rate. So if you go to our YouTube channel, and our YouTube channel is official MAWC, you will find a list of recorded webinars, and those webinars cover a range of topics. They're just previously recorded webinars, so they're not professionally recorded. They're just recorded versions of these sessions. And in them, you'll find how to edit content, how to use the email marketing system, how to work with responsive layouts, and why that's important. We're going to talk about that a little bit later tonight as well. But it's important that if you haven't gotten started yet with your DRS, it's important that you take a moment to go back and take a look on the YouTube playlist and see if any of those webinars might be helpful for you. Especially if you're first getting started, it's really important to know the basics, like how to edit content or add pictures or set up a domain name. Just as a little heads up, we are going to be creating some short 2-minute videos on making changes and using the editor as well. So rather than watching one hour-long session on how to do all of the basic editing skills, you can watch 2-minute videos and just click play one skill at a time. Now, obviously, if you're going to be setting up a page, you're going to need all of the skills that are covered in that 1-hour session, but we just thought it might be helpful to break up the skills into shorter videos so that you might get a little bit of an easier time playing back or just getting a review on specific things. All right, so again, just wanted to let everybody know that that's to come and that our previously recorded sessions are available on our YouTube channel. So make sure you take a look there. Now, tonight's session is all about content, right? So in the previous sessions, we've actually covered how to create content, how to create and edit text, how to add videos, how to add photos, but we didn't really cover in depth what kinds of text, what kinds of videos, what kinds of photos should you be adding. And so what we want to discover tonight is what exactly is good content anyway, right? So what kinds of content really reaches a viewer, words and actions, and we're really going to talk about 3 questions that you want to ask yourself when you're creating your content. And those 3 questions are going to be related to the goals of the content that you create. Now, this can be applicable to your website, it can be applicable for blogging, it can be applicable for your traditional business. But the idea is to give you a starting place for how to come up with the right kinds of content that you should be putting on your website. With this topic, we're actually going to include some screenshots of what the MA Web Center's layouts come with, and they're more geared toward traditional business owners. So we're going to use those to describe and illustrate the kinds of lessons that we're going to go through. But then I'm going to follow up with how that was accomplished using our my personal DRS. Now, we're in the process right now of redeveloping our entire website to be responsive because, as you'll know, in the second half of tonight's session, when we talk about mobile get-in or the importance of responsive design, you're going to find out it's really important that you design this responsively. So when you go to create your content, what you're going to want to do is actually choose a responsive layout. And you can do that by clicking on Change Design and choosing from the responsive folder. If you're not yet a DRS subscriber, then what you want to do is go to explorema.com, and when you go ahead and register yourself for a DRS, you're going to want to start off with a responsive layout. So just a little tip of the tips and tricks there. You want to definitely start off, if you haven't gotten started yet, or think about redeveloping your content responsively so that you get a better audience. When we talk about that, I'm going to talk to you about the difference between responsive websites and mobile websites, because they're two completely different things. You actually have the ability to create either at no additional cost, but I'm also going to go over with you some of the options that you have for design. If you don't want to go through the design process yourself, if you'd rather actually just subscribe for a service and have our team of designers design the site for you, there are some options that you have there as well. My personal thought on that is, I personally believe that a DRS can be launched with just 2 pages, and you can do that in a day pretty easily, and when we launched our DRS, that's exactly what we did. We launched a home page and a contact us page, and that was our start. And then we just committed to adding pages, every single month, so that now it's 15 pages long, and it's not a big deal. We're able to do that. So, don't feel like you have to have a website that has 20 pages before you launch it. You can launch it very, very simply right away. So let's get into it. The first thing that we need to talk about is, why is this so important, right? So all DRS layouts come with preloaded content, and that preloaded content is actually somewhat industry specific, right? We've got some suggested content for general business and for unfranchised owners. We have suggested content for shop.com, for motives people, web centers people, health and nutrition people, and NPOs. You can choose a layout with preloaded content, but what we have found is, first of all, nobody wants that preloaded content, right? The point of having your own website is to not have a replicated site, but rather to have one that brands yourself, one that tells your own story, talks about your approach, who are you, gives your message and really brands yourself, not the company, right? And that's really the goal here. Is you don't want to just create another version of marketamerica.com. It's not great if you just go to marketamerica.com and copy and paste content from that website, or just swipe and adapt it. What you want to do is create your own unique content. And so with the new responsive layouts, what we're using there is called lorem text, which means it's rubbish. It's not real text, but rather it's content suggestions. So for example, in the general business one, it will say, tell your story, and then a bunch of rubbish. And then it'll say, contact us, and then a bunch of rubbish, because obviously whatever random text we come up with is not going to brand every single unique subscriber of DRS, and that's the point. So one of the ways that we've kept people from just using the preloaded content is to replace it with rubbish, right? And there's really a good reason for that. Good content is what attracts customers, prospects, and search engines, right? When a viewer goes to your website, whether it's to learn about you, your business, your products, your trainings, or whatever it is that you're sending them to your website, if it isn't good content, they're not going to stay on the site. They're going to lose interest, or they're going to think it's fake and just move on, right? Because your website needs to tell the story of you. Otherwise, people can see right through that, right? It completely shapes the buying decisions of potential customers and prospects. So whether that is a potential customer that's reading about your product line, if it feels personal, if it feels accurate, if it feels professional, great. But if it feels like a bunch of preloaded slogans and random stuff that is very clearly not personalized, then again, people see through that and they move on. They're looking for genuine organic content. It shapes their decisions on whether or not they want to keep clicking, whether or not they want to click and request more information, or whether they're just going to talk to you about what they've read. What we have found with DRS is there are 2 types of people that come to our DRS, Ryan and mine. The first one is our actual network, our friends and family that, maybe they haven't checked out our shop.com site, but they are really curious about what we do. So they'll go to our .com, our actual .com website, or thestackgrp.com, and they'll read all about that. And it's a substantial difference between them coming to my website and them just going to marketamerica.com/my name. Because when people go to that kind of a replicated website, it's awesome credibility. It's great third-party credibility. It's updated. It's got annual reports all about our corporate team philosophies, everything about our company. But people know that that's not me. They know that that's not my company. So when they come to my website, it really does give a different kind of a feeling than sending them to the more sterile corporate site. And again, the website's gorgeous. The marketamerica.com website is amazing. And when I say sterile, I just mean, professional and branded to them. It's not sterile to me, but it's sterile to one of my prospects who may want to be learning about what I do, right? I like to use marketamerica.com as a follow-up. I like to send them to my website first so I can decide what kinds of content they're exposed to. And then once I've got their attention, I show them the plan, and that's when I bring them to marketamerica.com. So now I can give them all of that third-party credibility that they need, right? So it all comes down to good content. If I want my prospects, or my potential customers, or my potential business partners to stay on my website, that content needs to be good. It needs to be engaging. It needs to be personalized. And it needs to call to action, right? The other very, very critical component to having good content is that it not only attracts your customers and prospects, but it also attracts search engines like Google, Yahoo, etc. Google and Yahoo, and other search engines, they used to actually index websites by just their keywords and backlinks and a couple of other algorithms that they used to use. So there used to be a couple of random tricks that you could play to try and drive traffic to your website. But now, content is king. And what that simply means is if your website's content is not congruent with the page titles or the keywords that are used or other aspects that are building your website pages, then it will not be indexed highly on the search engines. And very simply put, what that means is if you build a page about MA Web Centers, because you specialize in MA Web Centers, and all of the content on there is about MA Web Centers, but all of your keywords and your page title itself is about shop.com, those two things are not in alignment. And so what that tells Google is that your keywords are not relevant because they have nothing to do with the content on the page. And so it's important that when you are writing your content, that it's good content and that it's using some of the words that you're using in your keywords and your page titles, because that helps to rank you highly on the search engines. Now, we did an entire webinar on how to write good keywords and how to use the SEO tools so that your website can be indexed well organically. So go ahead and check out that recorded session on YouTube if you want more information about that. But just understand that the content is the most important part to SEO, 100%. So don't think that it's an afterthought. Writing good content is critical. Another one of the other items that you should be focused on is calling to action, right? Your words and your action. So I love this quote by Forbes magazine. Web surfers have the attention span of drunken gnats. And I love that because gnats have the attention span of less than 1 second. And so it's completely accurate. We live in a scroll world, and at the end of the day, if your website is not visually interesting or easy to absorb or easy to read, people don't absorb the information on it. So what you want to do, other than when you're sharing a bio or an article, is you want to avoid massive amounts of text. People are bombarded by information all day, every day, right? Our lives are busier and busier, and we are so content soaken, it's not even funny. Every second that your brain has a minute to break, you're on your mobile device, looking at some social network that you belong to, or you're reading some online news periodical or some online magazine, right? That's what people do. They're just constantly having screens and information and updates in their face. And they just scroll right by. If you're scrolling through your Facebook timeline or your news feed, and you come across someone that has massive amounts of text, you don't read it. You only read the ones that are, visual, that are picture driven. Isn't that true? And so, keeping that in mind, you want to apply what you know about how people process information to how you form your content. So if you know that rich and visual and original and well written and updated text and content is the kind of stuff that you would want to read, then that's the kind of content that you want to create. You want to make sure that every one of your pages has pictures on them or videos or some sort of media. You want to make sure that that content is original, right? Like I said earlier, what you want to avoid is just swiping and adapting or copying and pasting from the corporate websites. The corporate websites are rich, visual, well written, and great content, but it's not original content for you, right? They serve their purpose in that arena, and that arena is not your personal website. So make sure it's original and that it's well written and updated. When I say well written, I mean think about what you're saying. Is it too wordy? Before I publish anything, I try to think about, can I cut down on the amount of words that I've used? That's true for any articles that I write, any posts that I share, any training that I put together, any content that I write. I try to reduce the amount of words used by like 25% if I can or more. You can avoid using words that really are there and don't really serve a purpose. So, for example, I just said the word really twice. That didn't serve a purpose. I could have said you can avoid using words that don't serve purposes, right? Or that don't serve a purpose. Avoid using words like the word just, right? When you say, I'm just doing this, or oh, I'm just sharing this because, it makes you sound apologetic, right? So, you want to think about things and the weight that you put into certain words. Is your content grammatically correct? Does it sound like you? What kind of a voice do you want to have when you're writing your content? Do you want it to sound incredibly professional and New York Times worthy, or do you want it to sound more hip and cool and more like something that Google or Apple would put out? Do you want it to have that kind of a voice? Either way, your writing should have a voice, and it should be your voice. It shouldn't be someone else's voice. Another little tip about writing is, always keep the paragraphs as short as possible. Like I said, fewer words. It's always, I call it addition by subtraction. You are adding value by subtracting words, I promise. If you can bullet point things or only use highlighted phrases, that really helps because that helps people to process the content that they're reading. Bulleted lists are incredibly effective and more often and more likely to be read than if you were to say the same thing that came in that list in a paragraph form. So the next thing you want to think about is your business identity, right? And so again, these examples are showing a traditional business owner's business identity and how that creates good content. And then after this, I'm going to show you what that means on our website, right? So good business identity has a clear description of who you are, what you do, right? Who are you? What makes you unique? With a DRS website, most people's business identity is I'm an entrepreneur. That's my business identity, is entrepreneurship. And I like that because it encompasses all of the things that I do. The risks of running a business and an organization, because I want to enjoy the benefits of what that means. Entrepreneurship encompasses everything I do in my own franchise, in my web center business, in training and leadership, in all of the things that I'm about. And it doesn't just limit me to one specialty or one type of thing. And I find that is really helpful with prospecting and recruiting, because if my website only focused on MA Web Centers or my retail specialty, for example, then I would not be able to use it for my general prospecting and recruiting and branding. And so when I relaunch our website with Ryan, we've decided that we've rethought exactly how our content is going to be organized so that it's even simpler to find all of the different areas that we're trying to recruit in, not just one or two, right? But it's a clear description of who you are. So this is a traditional business, right? So here's a restaurant. It's a clear description of who they are. Now, this person's description of who they are is really described in pictures, right? If you looked at this person's website, you would notice that there's a beautiful, like, rare steak with some fresh tomatoes, some beautiful shrimp, and wine, and all kinds of really great stuff. So, and then their menu is here as well. So rather than, write a whole paragraph or an article about what that company is all about, they told you what they were all about by using pictures and the bulleted kind of list or the menu items. So you know that you're looking at a nice steakhouse where you can enjoy a really high quality meal and have a nice glass of wine. Now, this is a screenshot from a salon, and they did a similar thing where instead of just saying our company, provides 4 different services and then wrote a paragraph about all of the services, they actually visually separated their services in 4 different quadrants here, using an image to capture the attention, a title to describe it, and then a description of what that service is, right? And so if I'm a viewer of this client's website, I know that my viewers at a bare minimum are going to catch a glimpse of these pictures, and at a secondary, they'll at least possibly see the titles. Whether they read the description of that service or not, the picture and the title does it for me. The extra text there is really just there because, right? And so again, you want to learn from these kinds of things. That's exactly what this NPO did, right? This is the NPO layout for an MA Web Center's responsive design. They did the same thing, cause 1, cause 2, cause 3. We help make the world a better place. So right here, this is all about what they are. It's nice and clear. It's a highlighted tagline. So similar to what I showed you here, highlighted phrases can help. That's what this is. We help make the world a better place. It stands out. So, and then below that, same thing. I'm going to capture the user's attention with pictures, titles, and then descriptions. If all this person did was write a giant ongoing text description of everything they're all about, it doesn't matter how well written or how talented of a writer this person is, likely the viewer is not going to read it. It's not separated visually enough to capture the attention of the viewer, right? Same thing here. So service 1, service 2, a little bit here. Here's another highlighted tagline. So on our business identity page, we have a clear description of who we are. On our homepage, it's who we are: supervising coordinator, having earned $7,500 to $10,000 in 4-week pay cycle. Over here, this is about me, right? My husband has his own page. I've got who I am in a highlighted tag phrase here: entrepreneur, creator, wife, mother, friend, and artist. Follow me. There's some pictures automatically uploading into that page from my Instagram, so it's constantly different and a little bit engaging. The other part that makes it really fun to share what you're all about is products and services. So like I said, on our website, we don't only want to share what we do in terms of MA Web Centers, we also want to share about all of the products and services so that we can use this to recruit across the board. So we're a product brokerage company. Here's a little bit about our exclusive product divisions. I've got Isotonics, and then right below that, I've got isotonics.com/new reality. That's my replicated Isotonics website. So it's picture driven, a nice title, a little tiny bit of text, and for more information, visit here, and a nice little video. Very media rich. For motives, a little bit about motives, a nice little video about motives. For more information, visit my motives website. TLS, did you guys know you had a TLS replicated website? Well, you do. Same thing, it's picture and media driven, just a little bit of text, and here's my TLS website. Nutrimetrics, video on Nutrimetrics, a little bit about that. Health professionals, MA Web Centers, visit my web center. It's really all about all of the product lines, right? I specialize in MA Web Centers, but what I wanted to do was drive traffic to my replicated sites that Market America and Shop.com give to me, so I can use that to attract potential customers, and I can use that to prospect within different product divisions of our company. Oops, that's our CWT school part PowerPoint. We're not there quite yet. All right, so the next part of good content is contact information. Is it easy for your viewer to contact you? Meaning phone, email addresses, physical address if that's relevant. With your DRS, you may not want your physical address or directions there. However, if you're hosting an event, if you're a trainer, for example, and you're hosting a training at a specific location, or you want to talk about the next UBP or the next whatever, you can very easily add Google Map directions. Social media links should be very easily accessible on all of your pages, and contact forms should also be accessible on all pages. So again, these are traditional website samples, but as you can see here, there's a couple of things going on. This is designed responsively, so all of these phone numbers are called to click, which means if somebody were to come to this website on their mobile device, they wouldn't have to try and remember or write down these phone numbers. All they have to do is click on the phone number right here, and it would automatically launch the phone app on their mobile device, their smartphone, and it would automatically call that business or that person for them. The email address, if they click on that, it will automatically launch the email system on the smartphone. These all make the engaging process better for the viewer, which, again, you want people to stay on your website. They don't have large attention spans. Nobody wants to remember your website and then, open up another application and try it and hope that they remember the spelling correctly, right? Make sure your website is built with your email address organically embedded, phone numbers embedded, and if relevant, go ahead and put your address and directions as well. So on our Contact Us page, I've got a couple of things. Again, I'm always trying to keep it pretty visual. And so I put our picture there as well, and fill out the form below to contact us. Your name, your phone number is optional. I also have on here a little question that says, were you referred to us by another shop.com owner, yes or no? And the reason for that is because when I do trainings like this one and other prospects or business owners see our website, sometimes they contact us for guidance or information. And if they're not yet a business owner, we don't want to accidentally prospect them. So if you are a trainer or if you're sharing this with your teams or your areas, I highly recommend that you do the ethical thing and you include that question as well, so that if that actually happens and someone says, yes, I saw the plan with so and so, then you can do the right thing and you can edify that person and just make sure that that person knows that their prospect is looking for help or looking for the next steps. It's the right thing to do. I can't tell you how many times we've gotten a contact form and the person said, yeah, I was referred by another shop.com owner, and we just simply get that person on the line and let them know that, hey, your prospects are ready to move. Let's get them, booked into the next event or whatever. It's a nice thing to do. So again, we say, what's the question? If so, please let us know the name of the person and any comments. Now, another thing that we have is we have the Contact the Stat group right here at the bottom part of the website. So on no matter what page they're on, there's always a Contact Us form. You can also see that the social media icons are available in two different places on every single page. We have them embedded right here at the top, and we also have them showing up here. Now, keep in mind that if you are linking to your social media icons, to your social pages, and your social platform is not one that you would want potential business partners or customers to see, then what you would want to do is not include it there. Just delete the icon altogether if you don't have a place to send it. So that's true of whether you don't want anyone to see that particular page that you manage, or if you just don't have like a Pinterest account, for example, just delete the Pinterest icon. It's really that simple. Now, again, on previous webinars, we talk about how to create those links. So if you're looking for that, you'll want to go ahead and visit the YouTube playlist for that. Another item to keep in mind is credibility, right? So what is good content? Credibility. That means sharing things like testimonials, awards, news. You want to build trust with your visitors. Keep in mind that what other people say about you, or what cold hard facts or other publications or news or awards that were given to you, that says more about you than what you say about you. And so when you're writing your content for this website, ask yourself, do you have any testimonials? Do you and a great example of that would be if you've helped somebody to achieve a new unfranchised level, or if you want to showcase some of your successful unfranchised business partners or some of your success stories with your customers, that is an area of our website that we are going to expand when we launch the new website, thestackgrp.com, right? That's going to be a new section of our website. If you are a trainer and people give you feedback, you can share testimonials or feedback about your trainings on your website. That's a nice thing to share as well. If you've received any awards or if there have been any news articles about yourself or about the company even, feel free to share those. But whatever it is, just ask yourself, do you have any content in these areas that you can share to build some rapport? So in these traditional examples, it doesn't matter what industry they're in. We are advising all industries to share some sort of testimonials. I like labeling it in a way that doesn't say the word testimonials because, for in this day and age, content is used so often, and I think that some words translate better than others. So when you say testimonials, sometimes people don't really translate what that means because they hear it all the time. But I love what this doctor said, which was "our patients say," or on the new MAWebCenters.com, which isn't live yet. Instead of calling it testimonials, we called it "What are our customers saying?" or "What our customers are saying." Right? And so it's another way to describe what a testimonial is. I like to not include last names. Some people are okay with that. I like to include a first name and a last initial and where they're from. So, I would say instead of Bob Weaver, I'd say Bob W. in Los Angeles, California. So for credibility on the Stack group, what we've done is actually share articles and also awards that we've been given with the company. So here you have Internet Retailer giving us number 57. Here you have from our annual report, the worldwide company sales statistics. That's all really great stuff because it's third-party credibility. I'm not just saying, hey, MA is really great or shop.com is really awesome. They're growing. I'm showing them that they're growing with hard evidence and testimonials and publications and awards that were given. If you look at our, excuse me, I'm just going to come here. If you come here and it says about us and you click on my page here, you'll find that on this page, I talk about different awards and different speaking engagements, right? That's another kind of testimonial, right? Because it's something I didn't give myself the International Web Convention Web Center Challenge. It was awarded to me because of something I did, right? So the next level or area we're going to talk about is a call to action. Does your DRS have a call to action? Meaning when a visitor goes to your website, is there something that they can do? Yes or no? You can share coupons, deals, or specials. Absolutely. You can share and send people to your shop.com website. You can create coupon codes with shop.com and you can talk about them on your DRS. You can do all of that stuff. You can ask people if they want to join your newsletter or if they want more information or if they want to see the plan. You can actually schedule physical appointments with people using the appointment setting widget. All you have to do is it's just like adding a picture. You would actually drag the appointment tool into your website and just fill out what you want, the fields to say, what kinds of content do you want to collect. And you can have people actually book appointments with you to see the plan. Or let's say you're a motives consultant. People can book appointments to, get a custom blend or maybe have you do their wedding or whatever it is that you want them to book an appointment for. You can actually use the appointment setting tool to do that. So on our website, one of the ways that we call to action, one of them is we actually have a couple of things. On the home page, we've got this video right here, which is like a 2.5-minute video about the economy and about entrepreneurship. And then it says, learn more about the shop.com opportunity. Learn why Market America and shop.com is a profitable business system. Fill out the form below to download a detailed 20-page PDF report. So what we have this set up is when somebody gives us their name and their email address and they click enter, two things happens. First, it sends us an email that says this person at this email address filled out a request for more information. So we actually have their contact information so we can follow up with that person as a lead. The second thing that it does is it emails them or gives them it leads them to the About MA PDF, right? So it's giving them a little bit more information, and it's also giving us their contact information so that we can follow up with them. And we have that on the home page, and we also have it on a couple of other pages as well. So it's a great little thing. Now, on the I'm an Entrepreneur layout for DRS, that kind of a lead capture is actually available and already built right in. But if you want this kind of a thing built into your DRS, it's one of the things that I would recommend doing with tech support, and just showing them an example. Maybe it's this example, maybe it's another website that you like better. It doesn't matter. Show them what you're trying to accomplish, and they'll talk to you about how to actually create the form. The point is, you need the form. You need some way to call to action. You need some way for people to request more information. So now we're going to shift gears just a little bit, and we're going to talk about 3 content goals, meaning when you're writing content, there's 3 major things that you should have as in mind as an end result, right? And so I talked about this a little bit this week about how, or maybe it was last week, about how website design should inspire the desired outcome, right? It shouldn't talk necessarily just about products and services. It should inspire the outcome. And so if your content is only talking about yourself and isn't really highlighting what the outcome is, or what the outcome that you want, it's not doing its job. So the first outcome or goal that you want is to increase your sales and your organization or distribution, right? You want to use this as a prospecting and recruiting tool, and you also want to use this as a way to drive traffic to your shop.com or other retail websites that you have with our company, right? So the first thing to keep in mind is, how can you do that? Well, the first one is information, right? So you're going to share good information. What makes you unique? What makes you special? What makes you different? How do you do that? You share your bio, not just the, typical catchphrases that you've heard or swiping and adapting someone else's. What sets you apart from the competition? Is that something that you want to talk about? For me, I think it's important. On our website, we have a page called, I'm going to go to it right now. We have a page called Get the Facts. And what this does is it really talks about what makes us unique and what sets us apart from other companies. And all it is us describing in our own way what our company is all about, the facts, how we're different, how we're better. And I'm really just using videos, but do you understand that when I have a person that wants to know why we're different or how we're better, I can send them to this page and it's all there. It's awesome. This also talks about the competition. Avoid companies that are less than 10 years old. Avoid companies that pay out less than 40% of its earnings. Lots of really cool things that we want to bring to our prospects' attention. So this is the kind of stuff that I like to show to my prospects. It may be different than the kinds of content you like to share. That's totally fine. How have you won any recent awards, been involved in assisting the community? Were you recognized by a local politician or other sort of thing? I just had an unfranchised owner email me because they're being recognized as Businesswoman of the Year. That's really amazing. So if she has her own website, I would highly recommend that she talk about that she highlights that, because those are things that set her apart and that build credibility. What are some frustrations experienced by potential customers or your prospects? How would your business solve those problems? So, for example, if if you're looking to write content that's aimed toward families or parents that want to spend more time with their children, make sure you discuss that in a way that helps talk about potential solutions to that problem. I used to work 50 to 60 hour work weeks while my husband worked 70-hour work weeks, and we barely had any time for children because of this business XYZ, that kind of a thing. Address the benefit of the business or the product or whatever it is that you're marketing in a proactive or positive way. Another important document that I recommend having available for download on all your DRSs is About MA. The About MA document is amazing. I also like to have the plan embedded there as well, because what I found is that a lot of our friends and family that maybe were a little bit gun shy to pull the trigger and ask us to take a look at the plan, they weren't embarrassed or they weren't shy to just click play on my website, because that's something they can do in the comfort of their own home on their own time and at their own pace. In terms of increasing sales and e-commerce, what you want to do is link to your products and link to your services or major or specialty. So I showed you the sample of what we did and how we talked about the different areas that we do business in. And not only did we talk about the different areas we did business in, but we also link to our replicated sites. So if I'm talking about motives and somebody wants to buy something from me, I cannot sell motives natively from my website. That's against the internet policy. However, I can link to my Motives Cosmetics replicated site. Another content goal is how can it increase your customer or your prospect satisfaction. So you can do that by helping, and giving them an easier way to do certain things. Like number one, scheduling. See the plan. Is there a way for them to see the plan right away, or do you want them to book an appointment? You can use the appointment setting widget to book an appointment to see the plan. You can talk about upcoming majors and events and training. If you are a certified trainer, a motives trainer, a web center trainer, a TLS trainer, any kind of trainer, you should have a page about your trainings, and you should talk about what those trainings entail, when your next upcoming trainings are, how they can register for your trainings, where they can get any important downloads or handouts for those trainings, how much do they cost. You can also have a page on requesting a training. So I'll show you exactly what we do for upcoming for training. We've got a couple things: internet sales and marketing training. Ryan and I are ISM trainers. So when we click on this page, we talk about the different training, day 1, day 2, what to bring to the training, and register for the next one. For the web center trainings, because we're I'm a web center trainer. When I click on that, they can learn more about the training, they can register for one, or they can request a WCT. So if you're in an area that hasn't had a web center training, you can go to my website, put your name, your area, your current UFO level, and details. When they fill this out, I get a notification that somebody in a specific area would like a web center training in their area. So if you are a trainer in any kind of an area, having a DRS website is a great way to promote your trainings. I also have got some great team training things that we do. So our team, we've got training calls for our team. We also have a 30-day fast track that we do, which is basically, the 90-day fast track or the getting started guide broken down into 30-day action plans. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's all stuff that already exists. It's just that we like to focus in 30-day increments. The wellness seminar things, home shopping list, upcoming event. What's the next major event? MAIC, right? 2015. Here's the date. Join us. And we put a little thing on there. It's all simple stuff, but you can promote that kinds of content. And it has a great effect, because this is going to increase the engagement for your existing team, as well as people that are looking to join your team, because they see that you're active and that the content is up to date. That's why the team management aspect of this is so important. You can use it. You can run challenges. If you're a business leader, run a challenge. That's what we do with our 30-day action plans, right? Our 30-day challenges. Coordinate. We have a thing that we do with people in our team where we want to get as many people as we can to the next major event. And what we found was a lot of people want to go to the next event, but they can't drop the $200 for the ticket in one chunk. So we have a payment plan that we offer people where we will reserve a ticket for you if you put down, and we do it from the beginning of one event to the next event, $50 a month. So give us $50 a month, and that ticket is yours after 4 months, so that when it's time for international convention, you've paid off that $200 ticket, you've paid for it. So there's some sweat equity, there's an investment, and a strong desire to go. You've demonstrated that by paying for the ticket. We just make it easier, and it's just something we do for our team. We have a little page on that. Downloads and resources, all kinds of important stuff that you can put there. And another good one to have is streamlined business practices. So business owners like to do this, and you as unfranchised owners can do that as well. You can streamline your business practices and increase your community engagement by implementing a social media plan. Do you have a contact us or connect with us or follow us? You can include live Twitter feeds or Instagram feeds, whatever. You can include all kinds of feeds. You can also manage your social media in the administration of your DRS. When you log into DRS, you can actually manage your posts and do all of that from the admin of your DRS. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. The call to action part is really good. It's easy to find, it's easy to do, which basically means, look, you're out there, you're engaging people, you're sending people places, and if you just have a simple call to action, it moves them to the next step for you. It saves you time and follow up and playing phone tag with people. Email marketing, all DRS subscribers have access to email marketing solutions. Just like a website client, you can stay in touch with your prospects and with your team, right? You can actually set up an email marketing system or a contact list that's just your existing unfranchised list, or that's a customer list. You can create all kinds of groups and send very specific targeted email campaigns to each. Again, these items like email marketing have been covered in previous webinars, so we're not going to talk about how to log in and create an email campaign, but it's there. There's content there. It's just, this isn't the kind of stuff that happens overnight, so you just have to be patient and just pick one thing at a time to do. So finally, before we close out the session, I just want to remind everybody, I said it at the beginning of the session, but when you are either redeveloping your DRS or developing your DRS for the first time, it is 100% recommended that you do so with a responsive design. So why responsive? A couple of reasons. First of all, when you build a responsive website, you are just building a single website. And that single website is designed and optimized for whatever device is viewing it. So if a mobile device goes to the website, it automatically adjusts to make mobile viewing optimized. If it's a tablet, it's automatically adjusted for a tablet. If it's a phablet, which is a very large phone but not quite a tablet, those are automatically adjusted for the phablet view, right? And it's one website with all of the right content. So that's a really nice thing in terms of keeping your content up to date. Now, with a mobile website, all of our regular 4.0 websites or DRS websites, they have the option to, if you don't want to build responsively, if you just want to create a mobile version, you can click a button that says Create Mobile Website. That actually creates a separate website that is a mobile version of the one that you have. It also has different content depending on what you turn on to be available on that mobile website, which means it needs to be managed or updated separately. Again, it's a separate site, so that actually works against you in terms of search engine optimization. Because when Google or Yahoo comes across your website, if it's a mobile website and a regular website, to them, it looks like two different websites with two different sets of statistics and analytics. With a responsive site, you're only updating the content once, and it's automatically updating it on all mobile views, and it's one website. So no matter if it's viewed on a mobile device or a tablet device, all of those statistics are combined to make one really large set of statistics and analytics. So that actually works in your favor for analytics, which works in your favor for SEO quality. So can you, as a short-term solution, turn on the mobile version? Yeah, you definitely can, but I highly recommend that you either redevelop and using the responsive technology, or you develop for the first time using responsive technology. One other little thing to keep in mind is that Google actually recently launched in April a new algorithm which prioritizes mobile websites to be indexed higher over non-mobile websites. So websites across the world, restaurants, lawyers, doctors, DRS sites, all of the sites that didn't have a mobile version that used to show up highly on the search engines on mobile devices, then got pushed lower in the rankings so that mobile viewing could be pushed higher. So Google has said very loudly and clearly that if you do not have a mobile-friendly website, a mobile version or a responsive website, they will not index you well. And so if you want to have a highly rated website with the search engines, it must be mobile. It must be responsive. Why did Google make that decision? Well, they made that decision because of the usage, the user experience, right? So for the first time ever last year, mobile viewing on Google surpassed desktop viewing for the very first time, which means more people were going to Google on their mobile devices than were going to it on a laptop or desktop computer. So that's exactly why Google said, well, if people are viewing these on mobile devices, we need to make sure that the websites that we're recommending that they check out are websites that they're going to want to stay on, that they're going to want to revisit, and that they're going to want to engage with. And here are the user opinions on mobile. 40% of people will abandon a website if it takes too long. Why does a website take too long to load? Because it's not mobile, because it's not optimized for mobile viewing. 67% of people are more likely to purchase from mobile-friendly websites. 74% are more likely to visit mobile-optimized sites. 52% are less likely to engage with a company if they have a bad mobile site experience. 87% of Americans have a cell phone. 88.5% of the Alexa top-rated websites are responsive. Alexa top-rated websites are the top most visited websites in the world, and almost all of them are responsively designed. And so Google, looking at these statistics and hearing very loudly that that users want a positive mobile experience, changed their algorithm to index the websites that did have good experiences higher than ones that did not. And so having a responsive website is not just a good idea because it sounds cool. It's a good idea if you want it to work well. So with different options that you have for going responsive. The first one is to do it yourself with our solution, right? You can create awesome content that's easy to absorb just following some of the suggestions that I've given you on tonight's webinar, right? You can use tech support. They're available 24/7 to support you. All you've got to do is click on live chat support. I 100% recommend always sharing with tech support links or samples of what you're trying to do, pictures if you can, just because it helps give them a visual, which makes working with them a lot easier. But yeah, you can create that. You have the ability to create a responsive website for free. All you've got to do is click on Change Design and choose a responsive layout. Now, keep in mind that the responsive technology is different than the MA Web Center's 4.0 technology. And so if you do that, it will not just transfer all of your content over into the responsive website. So it's very important that when you do that, if you have an existing site and you want to keep the content that's on it, save the content. We do have some checks and balances where if you call in right away, the company should be able to swap it back depending on when the cache has been refreshed in our servers. But it's the easiest and most safest thing to do is to save the content before you make the switch. Another option that you have is to use a MA Web Center's design package. So you can actually order a design package for your DRS website. And there's different options, excuse me, I don't have that there. There's different options that you have. Most people would go with the custom layout package or a classic design package. The custom layout package is, I believe it's $3.99, and it's a one-time fee that you would pay, so it's about $400. But when you do that, you'll get a project manager and a team of designers that will work with you to create a custom brand and look and feel for your homepage, as well as a custom brand look and feel for all of the other content pages that you're going to use to build from. So altogether, you'll get 2 different pages that are created for you, but they're customized 100% to your specifications, and they are uploaded into your DRS system so that you can go ahead and build out the other pages based on that custom design that was created for you. For me, that's definitely the way to go. It's the easiest way to get your first page set up. And it's you're going to get a beautiful design, and it's going to be set up in a way where really all you have to do is swap out text and a couple of pictures and some links on the other pages, and you're good to go. A classic design page comes with that, but it also comes with 5 content pages that are built for you. In addition to that, you get a custom newsletter that's put together based on the design of your website. So your newsletter will be emulating the website design. It's a really nice thing for branding. You also get a scheduled 30-minute phone tutorial with tech support when you do that. That one, I believe, is around $500. Again, all of that's actually available. If you go to mawebcenters.com, you can click on that and see what the design packages cost if you bought them one at a time. Now, that's just a suggestion. You don't have to go that route. It's just a suggestion if you're the kind of person that would rather have someone set the website up for you and then just maintain the content on your own going forward. Just a couple of little reminders before we end out the session tonight. You've got tons of support available, live chat support. You also have a ton of social media and blogs and newsletters and webinar series and websites that are available to support you. And if you have any questions whatsoever, there's a couple of places where you can get support. First of all, make sure that you are reviewing the videos that have been recorded. You can access them on our YouTube channel, or you could click on the webinars page of mawc411.com. You can also click on live chat support on the admin of your DRS account, and you can chat live with a real person and ask your specific questions and get specific answers. This is not an automated thing. People will actually talk to you about the specific questions that you have. All right, I hope that has been helpful for everybody tonight, and we will see you in September. All right, have a great night, everybody, and